All right, so today we're getting a little dirt under our fingernails with a deep dive into MrBeast's 7 days stranded in a cave.
And this one is really something else. We're talking about a whole different set of challenges, even for someone like Mr. Beast.
Yeah, this is way more intense than, just hanging out in your backyard or whatever.
Right. This is like next level.
Exactly. So we'll be breaking down the transcript from this adventure and, really trying to understand what goes into making one of these videos and the risks involved.
Because when you're talking about spending a week in a cave system that stretches over 5 kilometers underground, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I mean, in the video, Mr. Beast even says something like, this could be the scariest experience of his life. So how do you even prepare for something like that?
Well, you've got to think about the environment you're dealing with. The darkness alone is a huge factor. And then there's the risk of flooding, getting lost,
Yeah,
disoriented. It's not something to be taken lightly.
and they had a ton of gear to bring in for a whole week. That couldn't have been easy.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking 35-kilogram backpacks just to start. And they had to haul all of that a significant distance inside the cave in near darkness. Imagine that for a second.
I can't even imagine. Just getting all that stuff together would be a nightmare.
It's a logistical challenge for sure. But it's more than that. Even setting up camp, finding a safe place to sleep, everything becomes a monumental task in those conditions.
And let's not forget about the whole bathroom situation, or lack thereof, I guess. One of the crew members mentions ending up with a sleeping bag that well.
Yeah, you have to think about even the most basic bodily functions become a challenge in that kind of environment. It really tests your limits.
Talk about roughing it. And on top of everything else, they discover this 12-meter deep hole right near their campsite.
It just goes to show that even with the best planning, caves are unpredictable. You're at the mercy of nature down there.
That's a good point. So they had their work cut out for them from the get-go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is where having a really experienced guide becomes essential, which luckily they did.
Right. They had JR with them.
Yeah, he seems to know that cave system like the back of his hand. And having someone with that level of expertise is crucial when things get dicey, which they often do.
Yeah. We'll get more into that later. But it's clear that Mr. Beast and the team were aware of the risks involved. They weren't taking this lightly at all.
Right? Caving is serious business. You can't just waltz into an environment like that and expect to come out unscathed. It demands respect, preparation, and a healthy dose of caution.
So Jekha was their guide, right? What do you think about all this?
Yeah, he was their guide. And, they describe him in the transcript as like the best cave guide ever. So clearly he knows his stuff.
Which is good because they get into some really tight spots later on. I mean, there's one part where they're literally squeezing through these narrow passages.
Yeah, and then there are the drops. They had to rappel down some pretty steep sections too. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
No kidding. And then they hit that underground river. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Freezing cold water, strong current. That's where things could have gone really wrong.
That's where Mr. Beast almost gets swept away, right? Like holding onto a rock for dear life.
Exactly. One slip, and it could have been a very different story. It just goes to show you how quickly things can turn dangerous in a cave environment, even with all the right precautions in place.
We're sure. Even just watching it made my heart race a little. So after dodging that bullet, they end up at this incredible spot, the glowworm grotto.
Yeah, that was something else. Like a scene out of a movie, thousands of these tiny bioluminescent insects lighting up the entire cave.
They look like the Milky Way or something, right? Just magical.
It's a perfect example of how even in the darkest depths, you can find these pockets of extraordinary beauty. It's really awe-inspiring.
Definitely makes you appreciate the sheer diversity of life on Earth and how much we still don't know.
Absolutely. And speaking of discoveries, did you catch that part about the s'mores?
With the peanut butter cups? Oh,
Right.
yeah. I've never even thought of that combination before.
Me neither. But apparently it's a game changer. And it just goes to show that even in the most challenging situations, those little moments of joy and connection can make a huge difference.
Totally agree. Like just taking a break to share a laugh or a snack, it can really boost morale.
Exactly. And it reminds us that this is still a group of friends going through this experience together. It's not just about the challenge, it's about the camaraderie too.
Yeah, you can definitely see that throughout the transcript. Even when they're exhausted and stressed, they still make time to joke around and support each other.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important takeaway from this whole adventure. The human connection can make all the difference when you're facing adversity. And that's something we can all relate to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We all need that support system in our lives, whether it's friends, family, or even just colleagues. It makes a world of difference.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, so we've talked about the challenges, the camaraderie, but what about that final gesture from Mr. Beast to Jay? That was pretty amazing.
You mean the gift?
Yeah, surprising him with like, was it $50,000?
50,000 New Zealand dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was incredibly generous.
It really was. And you could tell it came from a genuine place of gratitude. Like,
Yeah.
he really recognized the vital role Jay played in keeping them all safe.
Absolutely. And I think it also highlights the importance of recognizing and valuing expertise, especially in fields like caving, where knowledge and experience can literally mean the difference between life and death.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's easy to take those things for granted. But this really drives home how crucial it is to have experts in our corner, whatever field it may be.
For sure. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's your biggest takeaway?
I think for me, it's the reminder that even in the face of incredible challenges, we have a remarkable capacity for resilience and ingenuity. Mr. Beast and his crew were pushed to their limits in that cave. But they adapted. They relied on each other. And they ultimately discovered a wellspring of strength they might not have known they had.
Well said. And it's a lesson that extends far beyond the confines of that cave.
Right.
It's about facing our own personal challenges head on and finding that inner strength to overcome them.
Absolutely. So for our listeners out there, here's a final thought. What's one area of your life where you could use a little more of that improvise, adapt, overcome spirit? And what hidden strengths might you discover by stepping outside your comfort zone, even if it's just venturing into the unknown territory of your own backyard? Until next time, keep exploring.
So that gift to Jay was pretty incredible. Yeah, it really shows you how much respect Mr. Beast had for him and his expertise.
$50,000 is a pretty clear thank you.
Right, and it wasn't just about the money either. It was that sense of gratitude for keeping them safe in such a dangerous environment.
Definitely makes you think about the people in our own lives who help us through tough times, the ones who always have our backs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget to appreciate the people who keep us going.
Yeah.
But those relationships are essential.
For sure. So we've talked about the challenges, the camaraderie, and even the unexpected moments of beauty and generosity.
It's been quite a journey just through this transcript.
Right. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of 7 days stranded in a cave, what's the biggest thing you're taking away from it?
For me, it's that reminder that we all have a wellspring of resilience inside us. We might not even realize it until we're pushed to our limits.
Like Mr. Beast and the crew facing those tight squeezes in the rushing water.
Exactly. They had to dig deep and rely on each other to get through it.
And they discovered something about themselves in the process.
Absolutely. And that's something we can all learn from. Even when things get tough, even when we're scared or uncertain, we have the power to adapt, to overcome, and to come out stronger on the other side.
That's a powerful message. And, it makes you wonder what we're capable of if we can just tap into that inner strength a little more often.
Couldn't agree more.
So to our listeners, as you navigate the ups and downs of your own lives, remember the lessons learned in that cave. What challenges are you facing? Where can you push yourself a bit further? And who are the JS in your life, the ones who deserve a little extra gratitude today? Until next time, keep exploring.